Hey there, welcome to Millennium Milestone Presents, a site dedicated to storytelling in books, movies, video games, and other exciting genres where everybody loves a good magic trick. Well, almost everyone likes a good magic trick. Maybe their parents might like movies instead. And for that, I'm going to go review another movie that's coming at you right now. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. The third sequel in the series that follows the original Four Horsemen illusion is led by Danny Atlas as they team up with a new generation of magicians. This group, including Charlie Bosco and June, stages a large-scale magic show to expose and steal the world's largest diamond, the Heart, from an international crime syndicate leader named Veronica Vanderburg. The mission is a global heist filled with misdirection, technology, and elaborate illusions as two groups of magicians work together to expose corruption and accomplish their most ambitious caper yet. So I bet all you are just dying to hear what my hot take is on this movie. Any guesses? If you were expecting me to say that this is a superior third act in the series and that it's a marvel of cinematic achievement, well, I hate to tell you, you might be losing some money on this. I hate to say it, but I feel like the first movie, by the time we got to the end of the first movie, it already had started to lose its charm. The second installment wasn't bad, and now we get on to the third act, which just feels like a paint-by-numbers copy of what they've tried to do before, with nothing very interesting or exciting that drew me to this movie. To start with, you have these young upstarts that are introduced at the beginning of the film. And while you're definitely impressed by their magical abilities in this, you later come to find that they're basically the equivalent of activists looking to rob from the rich and give to the poor. Which, don't get me wrong, if this was just a straight Robin Hood style movie, it would be okay with me. However, they definitely give the generic rich white person bad, poor people need to be given money gag. And then comes the other half of the first part of the film, is reintroducing the original Four Horsemen. Now, it would have been nice if this was done in a way that was weaved to make sense, where each character showed up unexpectedly because of circumstances that drives them, which does happen in the film, but it's done in such a mediocre, I could care less attitude that you just like, this is how we bring them back in this fashion? I could have found more entertainment with this guy. I want to give a little bit of credit to Rosamund Pike. Her portrayal of her character, Veronica Vanderburg, was interesting. I love the South African accent. It was definitely unique. So she stood out a little bit. But aside from just being rich and having influence, I wasn't buying into the idea that she was a serious threat, even though she did at some points threaten the lives of the magicians at many different turns. Honestly, I felt that Morgan Freeman's portrayal of Thaddeus Bradley was maybe a more convincing villain, at least from the first movie. I know by the time we got to the second film, they switched things up and decided to have him be part of the Eye, which I felt that was a bad move, because now you're left without anyone to really carry out being a real serious threat. And I felt like Morgan Freeman has a presence that's just missing from this film that should have been better placed from his previous portrayal in the first film. Justice Smith. We gotta talk about him for a good minute.
It's the T-Rex. It's the T-Rex. It's the T-Rex. Claire, it's the T-Rex. It's the T-Rex. It's the T-Rex.
Stop! It's not the T-Rex.
The American Society of Magical Negroes.
Come again?
Yeah, this actor gets around quite a bit. And I don't know. I would love to not even borrow the word DEI or anything else that's related to that for this, but plain and simple, why do we have such a beta boy in this movie? Don't get me wrong. Probably out of all the movies I've seen him do so far, aside from Jurassic Park and that god-awful American Society of Magical Negroes, yeah, I said it, they don't give us anything that allows me to get behind this character other than the last bits of the film, which I'm not going to spoil that. There is a hidden secret about Charlie, the character in this film, that we don't get to know about here. But it's really underwhelming and doesn't exactly get me behind him. It just signals again the idea that you're a white, rich character, give me money. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind characters that are perhaps seemingly weak and show their strengths later on, but the problem with the way they portray him is that he is portrayed as one way. It's basically a distraction to not have you see what he truly is. And then when you see who his real character is, it's like they automatically flipped the switch and made him this confident, heroic person out of the get-go, as if he was always this person. It just wasn't fluid or natural to see the change in character for him. There wasn't any real development of his character throughout the film, other than at one moment he was a weakling, he was a wimp. The next moment he's got all this charisma, like he was Urkel turned to Stefan. The other thing I've noticed with this film is there is a bit of a passing of the torch going on here. Obviously, they are letting a new generation of magicians take over the franchise, which is fine. Sometimes there are just certain stories or franchises that just go stale if you stay with the character for too long. So I'm not against that. However, it's just very underwhelming, unearned in the way it's presented. And a lot of the time, these characters aren't even trying to learn from anything. They're just showing off what they can do instead of giving us any type of growth in their characters in this. One example I'll give you is that of June, who is a bit of an acrobatic and also a master cat burglar, you could almost say. There's a scene where they get to a magical house, I'll just call it that, I won't mention any details about it, where Jack Wilder's trying to pick a lock, which is usually his expertise, but for the sake of the story, it has to show that he's incompetent, and June is the one that knows better how to unlock the door and to get in. What I suggest should have at least maybe happened here is maybe the roles should have been reversed for the moment where June knows how to do stuff like Jack Wilder, but doesn't know everything. So that particular scene would have been a perfect opportunity for him to show off what he knows and pass along certain traits. There is a scene later on in the movie where her expertise would have been perfect and helped out not only the entire group, but shows some growth in her learning from maybe this particular experience.
Girls get it done.
Now, to be fair, this particular movie is performing decent. It actually outdid The Running Man, which came up on number 2 from last week's weekend. And as of right now, Now You See Me, Now You Don't is on pace to make up its break-even point for its budget. It's about under $10 million away from getting there. So it's still doing a decent job. So perhaps this movie will eventually lead to another series of movies after that might improve on the story. But for the moment, for me, I am going to rate this just right on the edge of decent. It's not right in the middle for me with this one. It's definitely something you can at least watch in streaming at the very least. In terms of this being popcorn worthy to go out to the theaters and see, I would venture to say no. It's just not that kind of movie for me in that way. And I do feel the very first one was probably the better of the three. They could have done quite a few things that would have improved this movie at the very least, and given this a little bit something that that I think audiences would have been more satisfied with. It's not a perfect movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just right in the middle, bland for me in that regard. But maybe some of you have gone out to see this as well. Maybe you have different takes or other points that perhaps I missed. I'm open to hearing some of those points in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and you best better believe I'll be back.